The scissors were dull. Samuel Thornton knew this because he'd already sharpened them 3 times that week. But it wasn't the blades that were weak, it was his hands. March 1934. Greenwood Avenue, Tulsa, Oklahoma. The street that was once called Black Wall Street now looked like a graveyard. 15 stores closed, 6 families evicted just that week, and Sam stared at the cracked mirror in his barbershop, asking the same thing everyone was asking: how long until we're next? He had 3 children to feed, $14 in his pocket, the last money he'd see for months, and an impossible decision ahead. Because Sam had just realized something that no one else had noticed, something about hair, dignity, and hunger. Something that seemed completely insane. But in insane times, sometimes the only way out is to do the unthinkable. What he did that afternoon would change his street, save 60 families, and cost him something he never recovered. But to understand how a broke barber saved an entire community without a penny, we need to go back to the beginning. Samuel James Thornton wasn't born a barber. He was born the son of sharecroppers in rural Mississippi. He learned the trade at 15 because a black man with a profession had something that cotton fields would never give: dignity. In 1922, at 30 years old, Sam opened Thornton's Barbershop on Greenwood Avenue. The barbershop had 3 chairs, mirrors imported from Kansas City, and a reputation. Sam didn't just do haircuts. He listened, he advised, he connected people. His chair was confessional, employment office, and therapy room. He married Mary in 1923. They had 3 children: James Jr., 12 years old, Marcus, 9, and little Sarah, 7. Mary cooked at the restaurant 3 blocks down. Together, they made $20 a week. It wasn't wealth, it was enough. Then 1931 came like a ghost train. Mary got sick in April. Pneumonia the doctors couldn't cure. She was gone in 3 weeks. Cost of the funeral, $45. Everything Sam had saved. And then, as if the universe wasn't finished, October 1929 exploded late in Tulsa. By 1934, Greenwood Avenue was dying. And Sam had $14, 3 hungry mouths, and a barber shop with no customers for 6 days. 12 days remained until eviction. Friday, March 9th, 1934. Sam opened at 6 in the morning like always. Broom in hand, he swept a sidewalk no one walked on, a ritual of a man who refuses to give up. At 9, he saw Thomas Walker pass by, former customer, now 6 months without work, hair grown down to his shoulders, unkempt beard. At 10 o'clock, Marcus Price crossed the street, avoiding eye contact with the barbershop, also unemployed, also ashamed. At noon, Sam counted what remained for the 10th time: $14.35. Barbershop rent, $15. House rent, $12. Food was impossible to calculate because there wasn't any. The night before, James Jr. asked if there would be dinner. Sam lied, said yes, then gave him his own portion of dry bread and pretended he'd already eaten. At 4:30, the truth crushed him like a freight train. He was going to lose everything: the barbershop, the house, the only legacy Mary left, the idea that their children would have something better. But then something happened, something small that Sam almost missed. Robert Johnson, factory worker, unemployed for 9 months. Sam had known Robert since childhood, and Sam realized something that changed everything. Robert wasn't avoiding the barbershop out of anger or indifference. He was avoiding it out of shame. And suddenly Sam saw it. He'd been seeing it every day, but had never really seen it. Dozens of men on the street, long hair, irregular beards, not because they wanted to, because they didn't have the 25 cents for a haircut. And these same men were losing jobs, the few that appeared,
because they showed up to interviews looking defeated. Hunger was stealing more than food. It was stealing dignity. Sam Thornton had $14, 3 starving children, and a completely insane idea. He wrote slowly, not because he doubted the words, but because he knew that once written, there was no going back. Haircuts for trade. Bring what you can. For a moment, Sam just stared at that sign. He thought of Mary, what she would say. Probably something like, "Sam Thornton, you are always too good for your own good." But she would also say, "But that's why I loved you." No one showed up that first day. Sam swept, organized the blades for the 100th time, and went home with the same weight on his chest. That night, he made soup with a bone the butcher was going to throw away. The children ate. He didn't. Said he wasn't hungry. Saturday, March 10th. Sam opened at 6 again. At 7:30, the bell rang. Robert Johnson was at the door. 42 years old, calloused factory hands, holding 3 eggs wrapped in cloth as if they were gold. "Sam," he said, voice low, Is this for real?" Sam didn't answer with words. He carefully took the eggs, placed them on the small shelf behind the counter, and pointed to the chair. "Sit down, Robert. You're going to look good." The haircut took 20 minutes. Sam worked with the same care as when he charged 50 cents, every movement deliberate, every line precise. When Sam turned the mirror, Robert said nothing for 5 seconds. He just looked, touched his own hair, and then his eyes filled with tears. "I'd forgotten what it was like to look human." The bell rang again at 9, then at 10. By noon, there were 4 men waiting, one with homemade bread, another with wilted carrots, a third with a piece of bacon. Sam cut hair until 8 at night. 7 men, 12 eggs, 1 loaf of bread, 3 quarts of milk. Vegetables that a week earlier would have gone to trash. When he closed, Sam had $0 more and enough food to feed his children for 4 days. For the first time in 6 months, Samuel Thornton went home without the weight of hunger crushing his shoulders. And when he saw his children eat real scrambled eggs, not bone soup, something broke inside him and rebuilt itself differently. The sign in the window changed Greenwood Avenue like a river changes its course, slowly but irreversibly. In the first week, Sam cut hair for 23 men. In the second, 40. Within a month, there was a line at the door before he opened.
The barbershop changed. The corner that had extra mirrors now had shelves, bread, eggs, milk, potatoes, folded clothes, mended shoes. Everything organized with the same care that Sam organized his razors. And Sam created a system, a small notebook, worn binding, each page a name, each name a record. Marcus Price received 4 eggs, bread, shirt, owes 2 haircuts when he can. But Sundays were different. Sundays, the sign changed. Free haircuts. No trade needed. Because Sam knew that some had nothing, not even eggs, not even potatoes, not even enough pride to ask. But there was a cost. Sam worked 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. His hands developed calluses over calluses. Scissors cut skin as much as hair. At night, he couldn't stop the trembling. In 3 months, Sam lost 15 kilos. He ate less than his children, less than some customers. There were days when his meal was what was left from the community shelf. Potato peels, stale bread. In June, he almost fainted while cutting Thomas Walker's hair. Thomas held him, tried to convince him to stop for a day. "Just 1 day, Sam. You're gonna kill yourself." Sam refused, because every day he closed was a family without a haircut for an interview, a man without dignity to face the world. And there was another cost. Every night, Sam separated what he received. Enough for his 3 children to eat. Everything else stayed on the shelf. Because Sam discovered that Mrs. Henderson, 3 houses down, had a baby and no milk. That the Price family had 7 children and a sick father. That there was always someone hungrier than him. By August 1934, Sam's notebook had 213 names. 213 families that had passed through that chair. Some owed. Some paid. Many could never pay. And one September night, Sam took that notebook and crossed out half the debts, simply erased them. Next to them, he wrote one word, forgiven. Mary, he whispered to the faded photo on the wall, I hope you understand. I know we should save more, but there are so many people, so hungry. In the dim light of that single lamp, for a second, it seemed like Mary smiled back. October 1934. 7 months since that first sign. Greenwood Avenue didn't have any more money than before, but something had changed. The men walked differently, haircut, beards trimmed, shoulders less hunched, as if they remembered, even for a moment, that they were more than the crisis that swallowed them. And the barbershop? It wasn't just a barbershop anymore. It was a food bank, community closet, job board, sacred space where broken men could breathe. The wives started showing up. They brought extra bread, clothes that children had outgrown, mended shoes. Sam's solidarity network grew like invisible roots under cracked concrete. Mrs. Henderson, the same one who had received milk when her baby cried for hunger, showed up with a full jar. My husband got work, Sam, 2 days a week. It's not much, but Sam tried to refuse. She wouldn't let him. You gave me milk when my son was dying. Now it's my turn.
And so it began. Who received, when they could, gave back, not to Sam necessarily, but to the shelf, for the next person who needed it. In November, James Wilson walked through the door. Sam remembered him, 11 months unemployed, had cut his hair for free 6 times. James wasn't asking for a haircut. He placed a bag on the counter, heavy, full. I got a job, Sam. Truck driver. Started Monday. First stop I made, grocery store. Sam opened the bag. Eggs, bread, meat, real meat, not scraps. Milk, flour, rice. James, this is too much. You owe me maybe 5 haircuts? 50, Sam. I owe you 50 haircuts. Because every time I sat in that chair without a penny, you made me remember I was still a man, that I still had value. And that's what gave me the courage to keep trying. The barbershop walls told a story that money could never buy. Photos, messages scribbled on paper, children's drawings. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for making my dad smile again. For 3 years, March 1934 to December 1937, Sam cut hair for 823 men. His trading network fed approximately 60 families. Dr. Patterson, local physician, recorded years later, on Greenwood Avenue, during the worst years of the Depression, no close neighbor died of malnutrition. It wasn't an accident. It was Sam Thornton. In 1937, when the economy started breathing again, not healed but less suffocated, things changed. Sam paid rent on time for the first time in 3 years. His children ate 3 meals in 1 day, small things that felt like miracles. And the men started paying in cash again. Many tried to pay more, make up for the free years. Sam refused. You don't owe me anything. We did this together. Samuel Thornton kept the barbershop open until 1952, 28 years in the same chair. When he died in 1956, at 64 years old, heart tired from carrying the weight of so many others, more than 400 people showed up at the funeral. Men whose hair he had cut, sons of those men, grandsons, generations that existed, because once a broke barber decided that dignity was worth more than money. In 1974, the city placed a plaque where the barbershop had been, Thornton's Barbershop, where dignity never cost a dime. His scissors, those same ones he held with trembling hands, are in a museum in Tulsa, rusted, dull, still beautiful. Because Samuel Thornton proved something that the Great Depression tried to make the world forget, that a man's wealth is not measured by what he keeps, but by what he shares. That in times of hunger, sharing an egg is worth more than hoarding gold, and that sometimes the most revolutionary act in a broken world is simply refusing to let others break alone. This is one of hundreds of forgotten stories from the Great Depression. If you believe they need to be remembered, subscribe to Unbreakable America. Next week, the widow who fed 200 people with a potato field.